This is Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, episode 129. In this episode, we talk about why busy is a badge of burnout. You don't want to miss this one, folks.
Welcome back to Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. This is the only podcast that shows you how to leverage Polarity Intelligence, an essential competency for healthcare leaders, and the missing logic in healthcare, so you can create healthy, healing organizations and become a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable healthcare leader.
We are your hosts, Tracy Christofferson and Michelle Trosett. We've been best friends and colleagues for over 30 years. And during that time, we coached healthcare leaders across North America around how to create healthy, healing organizations.
Today, we coach healthcare leaders and leadership teams to live thriving, resilient, and balanced lives, combat burnout, and create the best places to give and receive care.
This podcast is for the unsung hero of healthcare, the healthcare leader. We want you to know we see you and we'll be here for you each week. In this podcast, we're going to challenge healthcare's industry norms, flip limiting beliefs, and share proven strategies so you can be your best self at work and at home, live and lead intentionally, and experience well-being and joy.
We are glad you are here and look forward to sharing the journey with you. If you aren't totally convinced this podcast is for you, just listen to a few episodes and convince yourself.
Hey, welcome to Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tracy Christofferson.
And I am the other, Michelle Trosett.
Wow, here we are.
We often don't say our last names.
I know, I just thought I'd change it up a little bit. You say the same thing over, and when you're batching, you really feel like you're saying the same thing over and over and over, right? And batching is just doing a bunch of podcasts at one time. That's what we do and how we do it. And I just thought, let's try something different.
Yeah, okay.
It also makes it kind of hard for us to talk about current events and things because, we tape this at an early point in time, and you might see it 9 weeks from now.
I was going to say, not 9 months.
No, 9 weeks.
We're not, delivering a baby, Tracy.
Well, sometimes. Feels like it sometimes.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah. So
anyway, my gosh.
Just try something different.
Yeah, I like it.
I
like to change things up.
Improv, man. She picks up on it pretty good.
All right. So are y'all ready out there for another great episode?
Because we're really grateful that you're here listening to us.
Yes, we are. We are. And have you ever noticed that busy is a badge of burnout?
It is.
It is. Now just think about this. What is the standard response you hear to people when you ask them, hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm just really busy.
Oh,
I'm so busy.
I'm so busy.
I'm really busy.
Does that sound familiar to you? We certainly hear that a lot.
Yeah. We've said it.
Yeah. And busy is a badge of honor in healthcare, especially if you're a leader. And we proudly wear it because it makes us feel important.
Yeah, it does.
Right? It's a status symbol. If you're really busy, it means, man, she's got something going on. She's always so busy.
Well,
what is she up to?
She's in high demand.
Yeah, she's in high demand. And you know what? The busier you are, the more important you are.
Exactly.
It sends a message, and the more value that you're bringing to your organization and to your profession, and the more you're needed, the busier you get, the more people want you.
That's right. That's right.
Until you burn out.
Yeah.
You burn out.
That's when the badge changes colors.
That's right.
That's when it goes from a badge of honor to a badge of burnout. Mm-hmm. And we get it. Like, we know. We do. Like, the busier you are, the busier you get, the more you're doing, the more you're asked to do, right? The more you want to do. Like other healthcare leaders, we love that too. We love being needed.
Oh, yeah.
We like being important, like highly regarded, right? Hey, there's a little bit of an ego part to this. Really, let's be honest. It's true.
It is true.
Come on, let's call it what it is. Feels good.
Oh my gosh. I remember there was a time in my career where I was a chief professional practice officer of a global organization. And then I was also the chair of a task force for the American Academy of Nursing, and I also was the incoming president of the National Academy of Practice. I had little notebooks for every little for everything I did. It seemed like, and I was busy.
Yeah, and
I was busy.
And what happened?
And what happened is I began noticing myself that when people would ask me, how you doing? it would be the first thing out of my mouth. I'm just really busy. And then I got to a point where I hated it when I said that. Because what kind of a response is that? How are you? I'm just so busy. So I really became hyper aware of the fact that, yes, I was busy, but I was so busy. That's the thing. I was so busy, I couldn't even articulate what I was up to because I was up to too many things.
And what happened?
And that little, I was too busy all the time was a little early warning sign that I was burning out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had a major health incident, right? As a result of it.
Well, that was even before then. Hate to admit it.
So, others don't have to do this to you. Like, these are self-inflicted, folks, right? Like sometimes you're asked to take on more things, the better you are at your job, more people recognize it, the more they want to involve you, the more you want to do. But a lot of this is self-inflicted. Like for me, especially when I'm passionate about something, like I was about interprofessional practice, right?
And
we were doing interprofessional collaborative practice before it was cool, right? Like we were on the cutting edge of it and it was so exciting. And I had gained so much knowledge about it, right? And I wanted to be on every committee, everything that was happening in the hospital, leading it nationally for an organization as well. And, I would just, and I did a little bit of the ego thing, like nobody can talk about it like I can. Like nobody here knows about it like I know about it, right?
Right. And you did.
Right. Well, and so then you feel an obligation, right? Like you have this expertise or this knowledge and you feel like you gotta be there because people are going to be missing out if you're not there to share it, right? And so, and then I'm a maximizer. It's one of my strengths. Mm-hmm. So as a maximizer, you're always seeing how things can be improved and how, if we just did this, it'd be a little bit better, right? And then pretty soon you've created a number of projects for yourself to do, you've created the projects. You could probably delegate them to other people and have other people lead them and do them, but no, you're going to do that, right? And so I found myself like just a mountain of projects being involved in, a lot of things to do, right? And just busy, busy, busy.
And what did you say when people asked you, Tracy, how are you?
I said, I'm busy. And I didn't even have to ask me. I mean, some people that aren't seeing you, they're going, wow, you must really be busy. We're hardly ever seeing you.
Right. Exactly.
Right. They know you're busy. They're giving you the badge, even if you're not giving it to yourself.
Yeah. So we just want to invite you to keep your ears open when you ask people how they're doing. Just listen to see what they say.
And what you're saying.
And what you're saying yourself.
Exactly. Yourself.
Exactly right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if you have been doing one or more of the following of these 4 things, and Tracy and I, we've conferred, we think you are badge worthy.
Not the burnout. Close.
The burnout badge worthy. Very close. If you say yes more than you say no, that is an indicator. And if you're staying late or you're bringing work home or you're working more at home.
Or you're working on vacation.
On weekends, that's a sign. And if you're putting other people's needs before yours. So even in your busyness, you still can put other people's needs before yours, or other people that are just asking you to do things, you're still fulfilling their needs over your needs. And if you're neglecting your own health. So if you're not putting the time in to take care of yourself and take care of the basics of your own health, then that's another sign too. And we know that if you continue this, you're going to get exhausted, feel conflicted, burn out. It's coming.
Yeah.
The new badge is coming.
Yeah. And it's a vicious cycle, folks.
Yes.
Like, as we said, the busier you get, right? The busier you are, the busier you get, the more people want you to do things, the more you have to be careful about what you're saying, right? Yeah. And it's a vicious cycle. And you can really slide down that slippery slope really, really fast before you know it, right? And eventually you are burned out. And, we talked in episode 101 with Dr. Joe Shapiro just about this specific point, right? And she pointed out that, before we had the data on burnout and depression and, physician suicides, right? People did this. They stayed busy and neglected their own needs, right? Because this is what we signed up for. This is how it's supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be sacrificing for the good of mankind, right?
Exactly.
Like, to care for others, right? And as healthcare clinicians, that's just kind of how you feel, right? And many of you are leaders, are clinicians first, right? And then you're leaders as well. And
That's what happens. But even, I'm going to say, she said before.
Right.
I'm saying even now that we know burnout is an issue, these are the things that cause it, we're still doing it.
We're still doing it.
We're still taking on more than we can do.
Yeah, it's really deep, this behavior, right? And it's so embedded in the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, when we had our awesome interview with Jo, we really do encourage you to listen to that episode. She really called out to, as Tracy and I have been, that we need to change the infrastructures. We need to change the culture. And therefore, we need programs, right? So that it's not... So this whole badge of honor isn't really just ingrained in all of us. So we need to change it up.
Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to her and what we need to do to put programs and different things in place, check that episode out.
Well, and it starts with changing just the norms of leadership.
Yeah, it does.
Shifting our perspective on what is required, what we signed up for, right? And it starts there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just kind of bringing some awareness to this, right? So we can do something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Change that badge.
So the good news is you can turn it in.
Hey, here's my badge.
I don't want this badge anymore. Here you go. So, as Tracy said, even before COVID, this was a national priority. So this isn't anything new. And we really do need some new programs. And that's why we're so passionate about our work now at MissingLogic is we've really committed the rest of our career in helping leaders turn in their badge and really live thriving, resilient, unstoppable roles and lives.
Yeah. Right. And helping people to see that there's, you have to care for yourself and you have to care for others, right? Like there's dualities here that have to be managed. And if you've been listening to us at all, Polarity Intelligence is one of the pillars in our dynamic balance effect framework, which is about both and. It's about seeing the whole picture. It's about understanding the tensions. And a lot of this is about tension, right? When you're taking on things, there's some tensions there, professional life, personal life, right? Taking care of others, taking care of yourself. There's tensions there that are at play, right, underneath this. And so, there's some things to focus on that can really help you. And one is that when you focus on this Polarity Intelligence, you're going to get some clarity. So it's all about really knowing your greater purpose, clarity on what matters most, what's kind of driving, right, your life and what could be driving your life that maybe isn't driving your life, right?
Right.
And what are the boundaries? What are the guardrails of your life that you want to establish, right? To kind of keep you on the path to operating from that place of the things that matter most and not just taking on more things and taking on more things until your plate's overflowing, right?
Right.
The other is predictable results. So we know if you don't balance the tensions, right? If you don't manage the energy in your life around these interdependent pairs, you're going to fail. You either get the positive results or you get the negative results, right? You're going to either experience some really great things if you keep this dynamic balance going. And again, dynamic balance isn't 50-50, folks, right? It's kind of being flexible, going with the flow. We know there are going to be times people are going to give you things to do that you can't say no to. That's going to happen. It's keeping the balance. That's where the Polarity Intelligence comes in. It's being dynamic and not letting go of the other things that are important in your life, right? So this is 100% predictable. If you overemphasize one and neglect the other, you will experience unintended consequences. And they will be negative consequences, and they'll occur over time. And so that's really your crystal ball. And who wouldn't want to have a crystal ball? Like you look in and you can see exactly what is going to happen to you, right?
There it is.
The
writing's
folks.
on the wall.
Exactly.
In the ball.
Yeah. And so, when you leverage this, that intelligence and this framework, you learn how to keep yourself in that state of flow and dynamic balance, so that you're not overburdening yourself and you are yet still making the difference that you want to make, making the contributions you want to make, but also supporting yourself and taking care of yourself so that you can do those things.
Right.
So you don't burn out.
All right. We are about halfway through this episode of Healthcare's MissingLogic podcast. And we want to take a moment to share that we are very excited about a new program we've released. Let's face it, you and your teams have been through some incredibly stressful times, and it's challenging to know how to support the team and still take care of yourself in the process. We help healthcare leaders become thriving, resilient, and unstoppable leaders. We've recently created a new self-study program titled Caring for Others Without Neglecting You. In this self-study, you will begin to develop Polarity Intelligence to leverage the tension in your life and create your own personalized strategy for balancing caring for your team and you. Go over to missinglogic.com/new-events to learn more and enroll today. So it's one thing to know about that, but a really great approach is to have an individualized blueprint that really helps you set the boundaries, that helps you be consciously aware of what action steps am I going to take so I can dynamically balance these different tensions so that you can survive these challenging times as being a leader, right? And leaders who struggle with being too busy struggle with setting boundaries. Now, that's something we can tell you
a little bit about, right? Well, it's like guardrails. They keep you on the road.
Yeah.
Right? And boundaries keep you in line, right? And and so they're the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're veering off in different directions, or right, like you find yourself in a pile up, right, with lots of things piled up on you.
Well, you know what, Tracy, and just like you were talking about your passion for interprofessional practice, and I just know the things I was doing too. I was so passionate about it. Our passion can get in the way of our boundary setting. There's just unquestionably. So, it's just really important to stop, do some thinking, explore your beliefs about boundary setting. What do I believe? Do I even think about it, for one thing? What do I believe about it? Identify key boundaries that may need your attention. Give that some thought, whether it be family or colleagues or, just work, whatever it is. And then create strategies on setting and keeping those boundaries. It has to be so much in your conscious awareness.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Really, It
does.
It does. And it just comes from lessons learned, folks. There weren't any boundaries. Sure, I can do that. Okay, yeah, no problem. I got that, and then you're like, oh, what did I just do, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to get to that point where you're saying that, like, oh my gosh, why am I doing all this stuff, right? Or having your family go, who are you? Where'd you come from? We don't know you anymore, right? Because you're so busy, right? So
busy,
wound up in the things that can be really great things. And sometimes it's really hard to make that decision to not do something.
Oh,
right?
It's very hard, I think.
And you feel guilty, you feel guilty saying no, right? Especially when people that you admire or, that you highly value their perspective and their opinion, and they're coming to you saying, wow, you've got this great skill and gift and knowledge and expertise, and you feel guilty going, I can't do that, right? So you got to just really be thinking about the boundaries are for you, though, right? It's not to keep people out. It's not to prevent opportunities. It's to help you stay healthy and at your best, at your very best, right? And so it's not so much about the other people. Right. It's really about you. And this is to protect you, to guard your life, to guard you so that you can stay connected and on the path related to the things that matter most to you. And you don't lose track of that, right? And you might not even know the biggest barriers, right, to those boundaries yet, right? So it's just kind of like stepping back and you want to just state your boundaries in a very positive way for other people. So,
yes.
And even practicing it.
Why
is this important? Like, why am I setting the boundary so that people understand? And you can set boundaries and not tell somebody this is a boundary, right? Like, and somebody requests you to do something, you can put a pause and say, gosh, I just really appreciate this opportunity. I'm so honored that you're asking me to do this. I'd like to take a little bit of time to think about it, and come back. This is a big commitment. I want to come back to you. I want to be sure that I'm able to do this. And just say, I'll get back to you within 2-3 days, right? And then you can pause so that you can honor your boundary. Because in the moment, it's not so easy, right?
Right.
In the moment, it's hard to say no sometimes. So to give yourself a buffer, right? And then when you respond to them, let them know in a very positive way why you're saying no. That doesn't have anything to do with them or the opportunity, that you're being very thoughtful and intentional, and they will have such respect for you.
Yeah, people really appreciate that. I have found, like when I've been exercising my no muscle a lot more in the last 4 years, and it gets easier.
Yep.
And people really respect that.
Yep. But when you have your boundary and
yeah,
then you know why you're doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're very clear and intentional. And when you don't have that, you're not. And so your likelihood to say yes is going to increase, right? So it's about having this strategy, being very clear about it. And I think the biggest thing is your own boundaries, right? There's boundaries around opportunities, but for yourself, you have to really step back and say, okay, what am I giving up, right? You got to really know the risk. You got to know what you're sacrificing. So it's to say, if I say yes, something's got to come off of my plate.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to say no to something else. And is there anything that isn't what matters most to me right now, right, on my plate? Now, there may be some other things that you've been wanting to say no to, and that works out great. And you go, nope, and you take on the new thing, right? But you shouldn't put anything on your plate unless something's coming off your plate, right?
Yep.
And you just want to have your own the characteristics of the things that you're going to engage in and the things you're not going to engage in. Just know that in your heart and soul, and you can stick to it.
It actually makes it so much easier when you do that, but ahead of time work.
Yeah.
It is, to me, it's just been a game changer. Just knowing I'm going to say no to things, and then when they come up, just knowing that's what I'm going to do. And it just makes it so much easier. And to your point too, being thoughtful about how to say it and so forth.
And if it's not within this guardrails, it's a no. It's an obvious no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I say no all the time.
She's really good at saying no. I'm still working on it, but I'm getting a lot better.
She has great strides, folks. I will tell you.
Pat me in the back, Tracy.
Well, part of it, she knows I'm going to get on her. Because she tends to say yes. But she has been very good, and she has been
saying no,
informing me of all her no's.
I always make sure she knows.
I said no today, which I think is good.
I was asked if I could do this, and I said no.
She's proud to say no. I realize we're proud to say no now.
I have to be transparent, about it. So it's really
true.
good.
It's so good. It's very good.
So what we want you to do, our call to action, is for you to just assess yourself. Where do you sit with this badge of burnout? Where do you sit with it? And just listen to yourself. How often do you say, I'm fine, I'm just really busy? So become much more aware of what your response is to that.
Yeah, and you can even ask somebody to watch it for you. Because you might, like your husband or your family, or, ask some other people, keep track of how often I say this, because you don't even know when you're saying it. I don't think,
what?
Right?
Sometimes you don't.
It's so subconscious.
It is.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
Make a game out of it.
Keep score. $5 for every time you say you're busy. Ooh. Consequences.
And then, take a look at your plate. What is on your plate? Evaluate what's on your plate, and really think about, where do I need to set boundaries?
And are you on your plate?
Yeah. Are you on your plate? Very good. Are you on your plate?
Are you on your plate? Really?
Yes.
Because most of the time you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Another thing and I think this is really important too, is it's not just about you. It's about listening to your colleagues too. And I think we have to help each other out. Sometimes, like Tracy, you just said, sometimes you don't even realize what's coming out of your mouth. So just listen to your colleagues' response. What's coming out of their mouth? How busy are they? And do they need help setting boundaries? And, ask them. You might have to ask them, give me your badge. Give me your badge.
Turn over that badge.
Give me your badge of busy before it turns into badge of burnout. So be thoughtful about your colleagues that you work with on a regular basis, or those that you are concerned about, because you know how much is on their plate. And if you're a healthcare executive over leadership teams and you're concerned about their busyness turning into a badge of burnout, and eventually even resignation, which is, we know, very much on the minds of healthcare executives right now, we would love to talk to you about how we work with leadership teams in healthcare organizations as well. Because what we're finding is, as we go on with the pandemic, the busyness and the hecticness is just continuing to grow, and people need help. They need help.
Well, they do. And I think they need help individually, but they need help collectively. And what we found in working with teams of leaders is when they have a common language and a common framework, they can help each other.
Yes.
It gives them some common understanding and knowledge around how to manage these challenges. And so the framework is very helpful in having that understanding of what they're experiencing individually and collectively, because it's impacting the whole organization. So, yeah. And, if you keep wearing that, badge of honor that's turning into the badge of burnout, that's exactly what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep going down that path without a strategy. What's going to happen is someday, right, you are going to hit the bottom.
You are. It's 100% predictable.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the growing burnout statistics, right? We know exactly what's happening, and depression, and suicide rates. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
We keep doing the long hours. You keep sacrificing your health and well-being, right? Not having your needs met. All of that culminates into really, really poor physical, mental outcomes.
Right.
And that's not the badge you want to be wearing.
No. So imagine turning that badge in. What would look different, right? You could be balanced, comfortable with having your boundaries in place. You're all set up. You're spending time with your loved ones, your family. You got everything kind of right-sized, and you're really experiencing that healthy and resilient life.
Yeah, and that's what thriving, resilient, unstoppable leaders do. Those
That's
true
exactly
leaders, right? They turn that badge in. They say, no, I'm going to set my boundaries. I'm going to get really clear, and I will choose what I'm doing as much as I can, right? Again, understanding there's always things that are given to you as a leader, a part of your responsibilities, things that come up. This has been a very challenging time. We're not denying that. There's a lot more on your plate than there probably was even 6 months ago, let alone 18 months or 20 months ago, right? But it's really about making some other choices and having some great balance in regards to that, and not letting that badge turn into burnout. So saying no when you can and when you should, based on the guardrails you've established, right?
Right.
All right. So everybody's turning in their badge of burnout. We're going to just work on that busyness, right?
Turn it down.
Yeah.
Turn it down.
Exactly. That's it for today.
Wow, that was great. Such an important topic.
It is. And we know it's, these aren't, we don't say this flippantly, right? We know it takes work, it takes intention, but we're confident you guys can do it.
Yeah.
We know you can. We want to see more healthy, vibrant, resilient, thriving leaders than burned out leaders. So turn in that badge.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay thriving. See you next time.
See you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, now a top-rated podcast for healthcare leaders. Please share this podcast with other healthcare leaders and anyone else you think would benefit. We are certain that if you found value in it, they will too. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. And also, it would mean the world to us if you took a quick moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast player. It helps to get the word out about our podcast and incredible guests. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to watch our podcasts. You can also follow us on our Missing Logic social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time.